Hello, hello. I am really excited to be with you here again tonight. It feels like a privilege to share that space, that Zoom virtual space with you guys. And what a topic! I'm just so excited to share about that tonight. So just a word of introduction about myself before I start. So I'm a certified coach, and my area of expertise is to help mainly women create the business that they are craving for. And there are women that want to create a service-based business, helping others. So they want to become therapists, wellness professionals in the education sector. And they have this vision of wanting to help others, and I help them help others. How wonderful. So going back to our topic tonight, learning and lifelong learning. I was just blown away by this topic, and really privileged to be here to share about this tonight. So I'll have different angles as usual in this format. Some different things come to me, and I'm going to start with the connection with me in my learning, especially when I was younger. And in my early training, the first career that I had was actually in teaching. So I did a master's degree in didactics, and I ended up teaching languages for about 5 years. So that was my initial career. I was fascinated. I was really curious. I was curious and fascinated about learning languages, learning about cultures. I ended up actually working and traveling around the world for 5 years, learning to live in the UK, in India, in Spain. I'm originally from France, in Colombia as well. So for me, it was a way to connect to humanity, actually, to get to know my fellow humans, my brothers and sisters, and also the world and nature. And I became also very fascinated about teaching and how we can share what we learn, what happens when the teaching happens, this transmission and this sharing. And I found that really interesting in this initial part of my career. And one of the most useful skill that I think that I picked up in initially in my learning as also as a teenager and as a kid, was actually the ability to learn how to learn. And this is such an amazing concept to me. In French, we would say apprendre à apprendre, learning how to learn. This is, and I love how it's, there's a circle there, there's a connection. And learning how to learn has become then, in my life, one of the most important skills. And I don't know if that's related to you as well, if that's your experience, but when we're in school, there are things about knowledge, like, we do not really know why we learn it, like why we learn maths or why we learn some type of things, right? It sounds maybe a bit like a bit blurred or a bit useless at the time. And I completely agree with Brian. There is a lot to improve in the educational system, for sure. But there's also a lot that we learn just from learning processes, logic, way of thinking, or maybe critical thinking, approaches and techniques, and a lot of things that can actually be transferable to different domains and to different aspects, to different subjects. So I think, with looking back, I now acknowledge, and I know, and now understand that what I've learned is that was actually also the ability to learn, and the ability to tackle some new things, the challenge to be confronted with, new things that I didn't know, and having to do activities that I had never done before. You have no idea how you're going to do it, but unless you take that first step, it's never going to happen. And so there's still a lot that we can do and we must do to improve how the learning system, the educational system, maybe we could call it the learning system now, to make sure that everyone is not, can thrive in this environment. But it's really interesting, isn't it? This different perspective about learning as transferable skills, or what you pick along the way, and this ability ultimately to learn how to learn. The second part I wanted to cover here was more related to my experience of lifelong learning, more now as an adult and in what I do now, with a little bit, again, a little bit of perspective with the years. And I'm really glad, I've picked up a lot of the skills that I've done with so many different things that I've done, and it turned out to be really, really handy. And especially the ability to learn how to learn. I mean, when you create your own business, you again are thrown into a new swimming pool of new occasions to learn, right? New skills, new knowledge, new tools. The learning curve is huge. And it's the case whenever you do something new, which is as well extremely exciting. I love, the potential, the perspective, the openness that creates. Novelty creates that. And this is also something I see with my coaching clients, that they need to navigate, and I help them navigate, maybe the stress or the anxiety or the frustration that can be felt when you learn something new, when you're in a known territory. And I found that this learning curve, this learning zone, is actually very, very stimulating for the brain. And Brian knows that much better than me, but I think it keeps, on the neurological level, it keeps the brain really young. It's energizing. It gives also meaning on a deeper level to what you're doing, and it gives the sense of fulfillment, of realization, everything that you're able to do. Your capabilities are growing. So the connection there for me with the idea of growth and development, and personal and professional development, is so connected to learning, because learning is the ability to access something new, a new subject or a new task, or maybe a new modality or something you already know. So it's like taking things to the next level. So how encouraging is that? It's so exciting. Yes, I want that. Yes, please, let's go for it. And I love the concept of adventure zone. Rather than talking about comfort zone and leaving your comfort zone, I prefer talking about going for your adventure zone. And the learning zone can also really work here. And that's what we do. We keep on doing that. Let's go into my learning zone. Let's see what next can be there in something new or in something I know, taking it to the next level, accessing more, not limiting myself. You can be limitless, with this mindset of lifelong learning. And for me, there's also the repetition, the importance of repetition, with learning. And when you learn a new language, that repetition is absolutely crucial. Typically, to learn a new word, for example, you need to have come across this word several times, multiple times, before you can memorize it. At first, it's completely new. You have no idea what that word is. Then gradually you understand it, but you're unable to remember it. Like when someone speaks to you, you can say, oh yeah, that word, I know what that is. But then if you look for it in your mind, you can't find it. So it takes a while before it's accessible, before it's assimilated for you to use and have that on a deep level of your memory. So we can see here the importance of repetition, the importance of that learning doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes practice, it takes commitment, it takes doing it and repeating it. And with languages, it's also very clear. If you stop practicing a language that you've learned, you usually become less good at it, right? And maintaining it enables you to maintain the learning fresh, right? So there's something very important about the actualization of it. And the actualization, the refreshing, and the continuity, I think, is also the big learning in lifelong learning. And personally, I'm just absolutely fascinated with learning new things. And I love National Geographic, the channel on. It's a TV channel, but now it's accessible via platforms or online, isn't it? So National Geographic, and one program that I can definitely recommend. And I'm fascinated about things to do with astrology and what happens in the universe. And one of the program that's running actually at the moment is called One Strange Rock. So it's a little series, and it's about astronauts that share about what they have learned from going to space. So their vision on the planets, on the universe, of seeing the stars and the miracle of life, etc. And I keep learning things, absolutely fascinated. I keep learning in every episode. And And when the episode is over, I try to remember things, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch it again because I'm not sure I remember it all, because it's new knowledge. And so again, the importance of refreshment and the gym brain that it does, I think it's really worth it just for that, isn't it? Although it's also very entertaining, in my opinion. So this was my share about this, about the ability to learn as an adult, and what I've realized about this. And the last part that I wanted to mention to you is probably a bit more on the spiritual level. As you know me, I'm going to talk very often about meditation also in my presentations. And I'd like to quote here the French philosopher Pascal. I know that I know nothing. And I know that it might be a little bit of a paradox to talk about this when we're talking about learning, but I'm going to go even further and just say that actually we do know nothing. Yeah, we know nothing. This is really what I believe, and here is how I can prove that. Lately, in research in science, they can show now that the universe is actually made of a lot of energy that we don't understand. Yeah. We can measure that's there. We can measure mathematically that there's the mass, and it doesn't make sense with only the normal matter that we know. And you can check it out online on the NASA website, on Harvard, and anything, and you'll find those research there. And it's energies that we don't understand yet. We can't measure. And I've got a little graph that I'm going to share here that hopefully you'll be able to see. So this is what we know now about the actual energy distribution of the universe. We know that it's only 5% of normal matter. So normal matter is you, me, the atoms, the cells that we know of. And we've got still a lot to discover about matter. For example, what happens in the brain and the neurological level. We know a lot more than we used to, but there's still so much that we don't know. And then there is something that we call now at the moment dark matter, that we don't really know what it is, but we can measure a little bit. But something that really completely blows scientists' mind at the moment is dark energy. And we know that the universe is composed of 70% of dark energy. And dark energy actually moves, actually goes through matter. We can't see it, we can't measure it at the moment. They're trying to capture it. It's absolutely fascinating. So I know that I don't know. And do you know what? I think it makes more sense. I think it's more what I experience, actually. And I think it makes me more open and curious, and that I don't assume that I know what's going to happen, and that I understand. So I think it really helps me to be flexible and to be open and surrender to what is happening, rather than trying to control everything on the level that is probably not going to be, the ultimate level or the deepest level. And yeah, I think that as human, we have a limited form, so we have limited perceptions with our senses. So it makes sense that we can't access everything that is in the universe, and that's fine. It's not the point. It's not about knowing it all and controlling it all. Although it's great to be curious and keep on learning, but really, I think it opens to a different type of knowledge and knowing as well, right? Opening to listening to your heart. Some would say something maybe on a more spiritual level. See how you can be connected to maybe to energy, or maybe to intuition. What's beyond matter, and what's the source of energy of the universe. And personally, I love exploring that. So I think we can be proud to say we don't know. I don't know, because it's true and it's good. So thank you so much for your attention. Just